Hi guys, today on Amelia's Amazing Treats, we're going to be making Chantilly cake. I found this recipe on Spun blog, and I will link the recipe in the description. So let's get started. First, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then we are going to prepare our pan. Grease and flour 2 or 3 8-inch pans. I only have 2 pans, so I'm going to be doing these first and then putting my batter in one of these pans again and baking it one more time. And I'm going to put 2 parchment paper circles at the bottom of my pan to ensure that they do not stick. Alright, now in a large bowl of your stand mixer or a large bowl with your hand mixer, combine 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/2 cups of granulated sugar, that's just my dog drinking if you can hear it, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Stir these until combined. Alright, in this recipe we are going to be doing the method called reverse creaming. So that is where we're going to take our butter and we're going to put it into our dry ingredients. This helps not overmix our cake and make it very moist. We're going to need 12 tablespoons of butter. Add 1 tablespoon at a time until it is fully combined. Oh, and I forgot the 1/2 cup of light brown sugar. I almost missed that. It's okay that I add it in now, but you want to add it in before you add the butter. Alright, when you are finished mixing your butter into your dry ingredients, it should be a sandy mixture. There can be a few chocolate chip sized or pea-sized pieces, but it should look like this, kind of like sand. Alright, we are going to set that aside, and in a large measuring cup or another bowl, we are going to combine 1 1/2 cups of buttermilk, 2 large eggs, make sure these are room temperature, and 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. I know this is a lot of vanilla extract, but it makes your cake just have a very nice vanilla flavor. And now we are going to stir these together with a whisk. Make sure to break up your egg yolks very well. Now we are going to slowly drizzle our wet ingredients into our dry until it is well combined. Alright, now I have a smooth and uniform batter. I'm going to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl to make sure there are no pockets of flour or buttermilk. And if there are any small clumps from the butter, that is okay. And mix one more time. Alright, now we're going to put our batter into our pans. Alright, so come on. Okay, so I only have 2 pans like I said before, so I'm going to be taking an ice cream scoop and scooping 1 scoop at a time, putting it 1 scoop inside the bowl and 1 scoop inside each pan. and now we are going to smooth out our cake batter in the pan. All right, and once these bake, I am going to put this inside one of these pans and bake for the same amount of time. Now I'm going to hit these against my counter to release all the air bubbles to the top. And we are going to bake them for 30 minutes in our preheated oven. And now let's make our blueberry sauce. For mixed berry filling, we are going to need 3 cups of mixed berries. I like to use frozen strawberries and frozen blueberries, 3 tablespoons of cornstarch, 1/3 cup of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of water. You may not be able to see, but there's 3 tablespoons of water in this bowl, and 1.5 tablespoons of lemon. And for this mixed berry filling, we are going to need a medium-sized saucepan. Now let's move to our stove so we can make this filling. First in our saucepan, we are going to combine our sugar and our cornstarch into our pan. So make sure to scrape out all of that cornstarch that sticks. All of the cornstarch that sticks. And we are going to whisk this until it is well combined. It should look like this when you're finished. And then we are going to add in our berries, our water, and our lemon. And now we are going to stir this all together until all of your berries are nicely coated with the cornstarch. All right, this is what it'll look like when you're done mixing it. And now turn on your heat to medium heat, and we are going to stir until the juices start to release. All right, so my blueberries are softening way faster than my strawberries, which is normal because the strawberries are bigger. But once they start releasing the juices, we are going to take a potato masher and we are just going to mash our berries. All right, it seems like my berries are a little bit too hard still, so I'm going to keep cooking them. All right, I'm gonna try my potato masher again. And it seems like they're getting much softer because my potato masher could actually get into the strawberry, but definitely not soft enough to actually mash them. Let's keep stirring them. Okay, it seems like my cakes are done, so I'm gonna quickly grab those out of the oven and we are gonna keep going with our mixed berry filling. All right, so I took my cake out of the oven and it seems like now my berries are ready to mash. So we're gonna take our potato masher. We're just going to mash our berries. Okay, this is a nice texture for my berries to be. Nice and soft, easy to mash. I like to keep some larger chunks, not completely, so there's no chunks at all. The blueberries don't really like to mash very much because, as you can see, my potato masher, not very small holes, but that's okay. this is how I like my jam to be mashed. Some few larger chunks. Actually, I could mash it a little bit more. I see some chunks that are like almost full of strawberries. I don't really want that. All right, this is better. It is nice and thick. Well, no, it is not nice and thick. It is nice and chunky, but the chunks are not too big. Now we are just going to stir until the mixture thickens. It is already starting to thicken because I made the berries smaller, so now it's easier to cook. And we are going to cook until it is nice and thick. Keep in mind though that it will thicken more while it cools, so this is almost ready. Make sure to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl so it does not burn, because this is the easiest time to burn your berries. All right, this is what it should look like when you are done with your berry filling. It will be nice, thick, but it's not as thick as a jam, but it'll thicken more as it cools. Now, I'm gonna turn off my heat, and I have a big bowl here, and I'm just going to put my berry filling inside that bowl. And I'm going to let this cool completely before I put it inside my cake. In this recipe, we are going to be making a Chantilly frosting. For the Chantilly frosting, we are going to need 2.5 cups of heavy cream, 1.5 cups of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 8 ounces of cream cheese, 8 ounces of mascarpone, and another 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. The reason I separate the powdered sugar into 1.5 cups and 1/2 cup is because I'm going to be putting 1/2 cup with my cream cheese and mascarpone before I add it into my whipped cream, and 1.5 cups with my whipped cream. Before I make my whipped cream or my frosting, I like to put my whisk attachment and my bowl in the freezer. This helps make our whipped cream nice and stabilized. All right, now we are going to pour our whipped cream into our bowl. Make sure to get all of it out. And then we are going to add in our 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. Whoa. I don't know if you saw that cloud of powdered sugar come out. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now we are going to turn this on low speed and stir until the powdered sugar is combined. Make sure to scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl, because if we just turn our mixer on directly to high, all of the powdered sugar will fly everywhere. So we want to first slowly turn it on low and just let the powdered sugar combine. Making sure that you get all of that in there. Sometimes I just like to stir a little bit with the spatula. All right, and then once you've got all of that powdered sugar combined in with your heavy cream, we are going to gradually increase this to high and whip until stiff peaks. Make sure you don't just directly put your stand mixer to high, because then your heavy cream will splash everywhere. Make sure to go gradually. Alright, so that's what happens when you turn it up too fast. Make sure that it gets to like soft peaks before you turn it up all the way to high. Keep it on medium until you get to like soft peaks. Alright, to know that you have stiff peaks, when you pull up your stand mixer, your whipped cream will stay. Mine's falling a little bit, but the way I know that it is stiff peaks and it is perfect is that if I take a little bit on my spatula, it does not fall when I hold it vertical. If I shake it a little bit, it does not fall. This looks beautiful. I'm just gonna hit it off our whisk attachment. And this is what it should look like. Nice, soft, billowy. All right, now that we are finished with our whipped cream, we are going to go over and do the rest of our frosting. So I'm not gonna use my stand mixer bowl because of course I'm using that for my whipped cream. So I'm just gonna use a different bowl and my hand mixer. So first I need my spatula. We are going to add in 8 ounces of cream cheese. A little bit of whipped cream all over the spatula. 8 ounces of mascarpone, which is just one container, one smaller container. Just gonna put the whole thing in there. And the remaining half cup of our powdered sugar. Now, so the powdered sugar doesn't go flying everywhere, I'm going to mix my mascarpone cream cheese and powdered sugar until the powdered sugar is combined into the other 2 ingredients. And make sure that your mascarpone and cream cheese are softened to room temperature. This will make it easier to mix together. All right, once I mix the ingredients together and I can't see any more powdered sugar, I'm going to take my hand mixer, oops, and I'm going to mix it for a few seconds so it becomes light and airy. Make sure everything is nicely incorporated. And now we are going to bring back our whipped cream and we're going to bring back our stand. Oh my, it hit a plate. That was really loud. All right, now we're gonna bring back our stand mixer and our whipped cream and our whisk attachment. We are going to attach the whisk attachment back onto our mixer. Put our bowl back in. And we are going to add in our cream cheese, mascarpone, powdered sugar mixture. And now we are going to whip it until it is light and fluffy. Keep in mind to not overbeat, because when you overbeat mascarpone, it can become grainy. So only do this for a few seconds. Scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl. Oops. And stir one more time. Oh, my attachment doesn't want to come off. That's fine, I'll just get this out of here. All right, and now this is what it should look like when you're done, light, airy, and fluffy. All right, now If all of your cakes are cooled and your mixed berry filling is cooled, let's assemble. This step is not necessary, but if you want a nice flat level cake, we are going to level our cakes. You see right here, I have already leveled my first cake. As you can see, I don't know if you can see on camera, but there is a dome over the top of this cake. I'm going to take a sharp knife, or you can use a cake leveler, and I'm going to get level with the cake, and I am just going to cut away the top of the cake. Do this slowly and carefully, and make sure when you do this your cakes are completely cool, because if you do this when the cakes are warm, they're just gonna fall apart. You are gonna get a big piece of cake from the top once you leveled it. Save this, because this is like the best part of the cake. Just putting it in a bowl on the side, and as you can see, I didn't level it perfectly straight, so now I'm just going to cut away at these sides, because I like a completely, perfectly flat, level cake. A good way to tell if your cake is level is if you flip it onto the cut side down, you pick up your cooling rack and you look. See if it is straight. This cake, I accidentally made a little dent inside. I don't know if you can see that, but that's okay because I'm gonna put my filling in there and then I can just do a little bit more filling right there. All right, now let's move on to assemble our cake. Now it's time for assembly. I forgot to mention earlier that with your mixed berry filling, make sure to stir it every 10-15 minutes so it does not form a skin on top and it is firm. All right, so I have my first layer here, and I have put some of my frosting in a piping bag with a wide tip, and I'm going to pipe something called a moat around the edges. This will help so when I put my filling inside, it does not seep out of the edges. So I'm just going to pipe a thick moat around the edge of my cake. And I like to do one thick one on the outside and a thinner one on the inside, because last time I made this, it was seeping out of the sides because I didn't make my moat quite thick enough, so. Okay, now I'm going to take half of my filling. I like to use a different ice cream scoop for this. Take about half of it, put it inside. All right, and then I'm just going to take a spoon and just smooth it out. Now I'm going to put my second layer on top. Press down a little bit and try to leave a little bit of space in between your filling and the moat, so when you push down on your cake, it doesn't seep out of the sides. And now I'm going to repeat that process on the second layer. All right, and now we're just gonna put our last layer on. And I forgot to mention earlier, the reason I have these parchment paper flaps here is because when I frost the cake, frosting can get all over my platter and it doesn't look nice. So when I'm done, I just pull these out, so then the frosting looks a bit neater. And I have some extra frosting inside my piping bag, so I'm just gonna pipe a little bit on the top, and then a little bit in these holes, around like this, so then when I smooth it out, it's easier. All right, now I'm just gonna take my little offset special, and when I smooth this out, it covers the holes. That's what I was trying to do. And it seems like it worked. So I'm just gonna do a slight crumb coat over the sides. And what a crumb coat is when you are making your cake, all of the crumbs that are on the sides and top are going to get on the outside layer of your cake. So what a crumb coat does is you put frosting on and then you let it chill for a little bit, and it catches all the crumbs in, so then when you put your second coat on, that does not happen. Well, the crumbs don't get in when you put on your second coat. See if I can squeeze. I got a little frosting on the counter. Let me see if I can squeeze any more out of this. Okay. I have more frosting, of course. It's just I want to use this amount of frosting for the crumb coat. So actually, I'm going to take my frosting and I'm going to add a little bit more into my piping bag so I can finish my crumb coat. All right, I have a nice smooth crumb coat, and now I'm gonna let this chill in the fridge for about 10 to 15 minutes so the frosting on the outside can chill a bit so it catches all the crumbs, and then we are gonna continue frosting. I let my cake cool for about 10 minutes in the fridge, and now I'm gonna continue frosting. To make this job easier, I put it inside the piping bag, and I am just going to make a zigzag pattern up and down the cake, like this. And then after, I'm just going to smear it and it gives me a nice coating over the top. Of course, I'm gonna smooth it out more. It's not as pretty if you don't smooth it out. So I'm just going to continue doing that until my cake is nicely frosted. So when I am decorating my cake, it is a little bit hard, well, quite hard, to get the bottom right here. So I'm going to put a little bit more frosting in my piping bag, or a lot more in my piping bag, and just pipe it along the side, or the bottom, along this bottom, so it makes it easier for me to get down there. All right, so for this cake, I want to do a semi-naked cake, which means that I want to see a little bit of the cake still. So that is how I'm going to be doing this. The only thing I need to do still is smooth out these little bubbles and spots that I fully didn't fill in. See? Okay, pretty sure that's good. All right, and now I'm going to smooth out the top so I can make a decorative border. All right, now that I smoothed the top, I'm going to take a piping tip. Well, I'm going to take a piping bag, and I have a small piping tip in here, a small star tip. And I am just going to pipe a little border around the edge. All right, and that's gonna be my decorative border, and now I'm just going to make sure everything is completely smooth. You should probably make sure everything is completely smooth before you do the border, because I messed up my border a tiny bit right there, but that's okay. All right, and now I'm gonna pull out the parchment paper slips. Look at how much frosting I got all over these parchment paper slips. That would have been all over the cake platter if I had not done these parchment paper slips. Now I still got a lot of frosting underneath from my fingers, so I'm gonna clean that up and I'm gonna be right back to put on our fresh berries. All right, so I have more blueberries than I do raspberries, so I'm gonna line the bottom of my cake with blueberries and then switch off raspberry, blueberry around the top, and then maybe add some in the middle. So I'm gonna start with the bottom, and I'm gonna use the bigger blueberries for the bottom, and I'm just going to line them up around like this, just all around the rim. And if your blueberries aren't sticking, like mine aren't really sticking, I'm just going to add a little bit of my frosting to the bottom and just stick them on. Because there's not much frosting on the bottom right here where I'm working, and they're not sticking. So right here, I added a little bit too much frosting behind when I was piping it on the back of the blueberry. So I'm gonna do a bit less. So instead of doing a lot like I was doing there, I'm only gonna do like this much. Just so it sticks, not so it sticks out. All right, and now I'm going to line the top with switching off blueberry, raspberry, blueberry, raspberry. And I'm just going to put them right in front of the border. So as you saw, my camera died, so I finished putting all my berries around, and this is how it looks in the end. And that's how you make this beautiful Chantilly cake. Let's get a big slice. Okay. Let's get my plate ready. Wow, that's very pretty. Forgot a fork. Let's get a little bit of everything. Wow, that's so delicious. Swallow. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.